need to just chat at some point about the veggie study. Thank you. Welcome everybody to Senate Economic Development.
I'm taking testimony on that.
Housing and General Affairs. I'm just welcoming everybody.
Okay, welcome.
Welcoming everybody. It is Wednesday, the 10th of, I just need to look at my agenda. There it is. May 10th, 2023. And we're here in Senate Economic Development. What? Oh, today was Keisha's due date.
I know. No,
Wow.
May 9th was, I thought.
Anyway,
No,
whatever.
I thought-
It was yesterday or today.
Okay.
Today, and she
had it
already
really
has
well
me.
planned.
Which is
It
great.
would have been
Okay.
10 pounds.
We're live here. Today we are going to vote out 452 formally because we hadn't actually received it yesterday, even though we discussed it and voted on it. We're going to vote again. We're also going to get an update on S103 because we need to vote. I believe we're going to be concurring with the House because they went to a lot of effort to include. We worked closely together on that, and then we're going to get an update on S100, and we're going to also talk about the veggie study if we have to do anything, if this committee has to do anything on the veggie study.
I was telling you that finance, I briefed them on that shut off PUC that got put on 100. There's some concern, so we're getting some testimony today.
Oh, great.
So just, they want to make sure people get the notice.
Good.
Oh,
Right.
the notification
The
to the,
remote shut off.
To the tenants and to the
or
landlord.
to the landlord.
Right,
yeah,
to the
Because the
landlord.
tenants or whoever's paying the bill gets
Right.
notice now,
Right,
right?
the
Okay.
tenants get it, but
Make
this,
sure that in protecting public, it's whose rights you're protecting, so
well,
they just need some time.
Okay.
great, because that will be up for notice, I assume, tomorrow or,
That's on the floor. Have we voted it out?
S1, I'm not sure on the timing, I have to clarify that with Laura. So right now we have, should we wait on the H452 vote until we have Keisha and Randy? Is Keisha coming?
Randy's in the building.
Randy has a meeting until 9:30.
That's right, I walked in with Randy.
Oh, okay. So we will do the vote at 9:30. How about that? And before that, we will move with Damien, and Boar is here, and welcome. And we're going to just remind ourselves where we are with 103 because we need to either concur or not. Damien.
Okay, good morning. Did you want to vote on?
We're going to wait
until
till
waiting?
Randy and
Okay,
Keisha
I'm
are
sorry,
ready.
I'm double tasking here too, so.
Oh, okay.
Good
Do you
morning.
need more time to double task?
No,
Damien got
no.
hauled into a props at the same time I did this morning.
Yes. It all started at 7 this morning.
Jane wasn't here at 7.
No,
That
but the
doesn't
emails
stop.
started coming in at
Oh.
7.
Jane
I
is
was-
a farmer. She gets up and
Right,
cooks at 5 in the morning.
Yep.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's turn ourselves to 103, which do we have a new copy of it?
You
We
do. You have the copy
It's
that
right in front of us.
passed, was proposed by House General and should be up on the House floor today. So.
Oh, so we don't have possession of it
You
yet.
don't have possession of it yet, but this will give you a rundown so that you can vote on it quickly when it comes across.
Are they gonna do they have an agreement to put it into all remaining stages of passage? I mean, are they sending
I
it over
mean,
to us?
My understanding is that they are.
Good, they're gonna need to.
They've known for, I don't know how many days now I've been telling them, any amendments, you need rule suspensions the entire way, House and Senate.
Yeah.
So I think they have got it. So the language in here addresses, well, anyway, the language is on page 2. We discussed it the other day. It is adding, beginning on line 12 of page 2, adding sexual orientation and gender identity to the protections, the equal pay protections. So now the Senate had sent over expanding equal pay to cover race, national origin, and disability, and the House is proposing to cover race, national origin, disability, sexual orientation and gender identity. So the changes on pages 2 and 3 covered that. So those are all just corresponding changes throughout. And then on line 14 of page 3, well, really line 15, nothing in the subdivision, so the equal pay provision would be construed to create any new rights for an employer to inquire about a characteristic of an employee that is otherwise unknown to the employer, upon which pay discrimination is prohibited pursuant to the provisions of this subdivision A7. So that's basically saying that employers do have rights or requirements to inquire about some of this information under existing law. And this is just saying we're not creating any new rights, so employers are not being invited to send out, you know, as a condition of working here, you have to disclose all of the following very private information about your life.
But they continue to have the right to do so.
They continue to have the right to ask the question under things like the federal equal employment law, which requires demographic surveys of certain characteristics for certain larger employers. So very few employers in Vermont, but still we're just trying to prevent any issues here where an employer may have another requirement to ask about demographics. So that would be added. And then
So this isn't, C is new.
C1 is new.
C1.
C2 is what the Senate sent over.
Right.
That was the language that Julio had proposed over here. And then
Romanet 1 is new.
Romanet 1
Was
is new.
Romanet 2 there?
Romanet 2 was in the Senate version.
So just I think a quick question, if it's not quick, then you can tell me another time. I have filled out those EEO forms, and I'm pretty sure it was for Winooski, and they probably have about, I think they have less than maybe 150 employees or less.
Yeah.
What's the threshold?
So the threshold is 100 employees, and if you're
Okay.
a government contractor, I think it's 50.
Okay,
That's my understanding. I could be wrong on those numbers, but my understanding is the two thresholds are 150.
okay.
So
That
100
works with.
and 100 employees and 50 employees. Let me just say it that way. So,
Right.
because otherwise it sounds like a different number. Anyway.
Okay. That's fine.
But yeah, so you will have a handful of public sector, larger public sector employers, some of the bigger municipalities,
Right.
and then the state. And then in our private sector, it's a small percentage of employers, maybe 5%, 10% of employers.
Have
at
more than
most.
more than 100 people?
Yeah, it's maybe 5% in the state.
Okay,
So, I
Pretty
mean,
tiny.
yeah,
90% of our private sector employers have 20 or fewer.
that's good to know.
So it's less than 10% of our
That's
private
very-
sector employers.
Okay.
But there could be other requirements under other laws or grants and things like that where they may have a requirement.
Okay,
So this is just the one that I'm familiar with. So in order to prevent employers from being in a position where their employers were saying, well, state law says you can't collect that info or ask me about that. And then they're saying, well, I just got this federal grant that says I have to ask about that. This is just saying we're not creating any new rights.
oh, I think this language is
Yeah.
great.
So, yeah, so it's just to avoid confusion. The original proposal was to say this shall not be construed to permit an employer to do that. And then there were concerns raised that that was going to create the impression that it was prohibited when the intent was not to.
All right, this is more clear.
That's the hope.
Great. So
So,
the only thing we had discussed with you yesterday or the day before, and the days are blurring, I guess on Monday, was this C Romanet 1. So
the Romanet 1, yeah,
that's
there.
the Julio edition.
And then the only other thing that we mentioned and we discussed on Monday, I believe, is on page 4, line 12. We had said, the Senate version had said, except for claims alleging pay discrimination, an employee shall not be required to demonstrate another employee to whom their treatment can be compared, but you have to be able to demonstrate the existence of another employee to whom you can compare yourself for disparate impact discrimination, which I described the other day with the example of the woman who had a lifting limitation put in place by her doctor during her pregnancy, and she wasn't allowed to get light duty work, but workers who had a lifting limitation because of workers' comp were. And even though on its face, anyone on workers' comp or light duty is only available to people on workers' comp was neutral and not discriminatory, when you looked at how it was applied, there was a disparate impact on women who were pregnant in the workplace. So that was sex discrimination and a violation of the federal pregnancy protections.
So A7 is pay discrimination?
A7 is pay discrimination, that's equal pay. And then disparate impact is all forms of discrimination.
And so that's what you added?
Yeah, so that's where we've added the gender identity and sexual orientation is A7. That's our equal pay law. Unlike other states, we've decided to vary all of our discrimination provisions or all of our general discrimination provisions in one section. So retaliation is AA, equal pay is A7, HIV discrimination is A5 and 6, A1 through 4 is general discrimination. So it's very confusing, but this is just the way it is. And
Until we rewrite that whole.
well, the problem is we also squeezed it into an area where we have sections 495 and 496 available. So we're up to 495.0 right now on discrimination. I think that's our latest bills proposing new discrimination protections are at 495.0. So there wasn't a lot of forethought when they put this subchapter into the VSA. We try to do better now to give a little more space. So unless you want to recodify the whole thing, we're probably stuck with this.
Got it.
So
those are the three.
Those are the three changes. So the main substantive change is the gender identity and sexual orientation. The other two changes
adding those to the
are
classes that can.
Yeah, the other two changes, the one on not creating new rights is just really a clarification, technical change, and then the disparate impact is a technical correction to address an oversight. So.
Okay, I'm good.
And that is disparate impact, right? That's the third change. Okay, great. Terrific. So do we have again, Randy and, Keisha's here. Keisha.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Did you just hear the description of the work in 103?
Yeah.
I'd love to just hear, because one of the concerns that have been voiced, although I think we're all in pretty much agreement, is maybe to hear briefly from Bor about the need, and sadly Randy's not here, so Bor, if you wanted to wait, the House had the benefit of having heard the testimony on why we should be including gender identity and sexual orientation, which we discussed at length as a committee, but we didn't really have any testimony on that. Mm-hmm. Would you like to give some brief testimony on that, or do you want to wait for Randy, or what would you like to do?
I can. I wasn't preparing. I was just here to listen today, and I wasn't preparing to testify. But
if you want to just, you don't need to be formal. You just need to come join us. You don't need to. I mean, there's been evidence, Damien represented that there had been, and Julio, I think, believed there was a case with the AG's office. Am I, you know, and if you don't want to do this, that's fine.
No. On a case with the AG's office with respect to what?
Sexual orientation and gender identity, wasn't there? Yeah.
So Julio had talked about,
Am I,
the AG's office had a discrimination case, at some point in the not too
Right.
far past. And they were able to settle the case. And he talked about how under the existing, because the existing federal precedent, which brings gender identity
right,
and
that was
sexual
it.
orientation under sex, they would have made the argument that it was covered by sex, but by adding it explicitly, it's crystal clear in Vermont law. And you don't have the counter argument that Vermont specifically included gender identity and sexual orientation elsewhere in the same section and left it out there. So this just makes it explicit that this is Vermont's intent.
Right.
But
Okay,
he thought
great.
it was arguable that they could cover it.
I think we're fine with this, and I mean, we discussed it at length on Monday, so I think we're probably fine. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just trying to figure out, we have Keisha, we don't have Randy. So I would suggest that we move to all our votes when Randy gets in. And because we have concurrence on this, we have 452 to vote again. And I think what we would love to do, maybe while we have Keisha, Randy doesn't need to be booted up on this as much, but could we just shift to a discussion of the veggie study, which I understand from Chair Cummings that you are doing the Berry Charter bill, which includes TIF and the
Yes,
veg
we
extension,
got
the
it
VEPSI extension,
yesterday.
but that you wanted us possibly to look at the veggie study language, or can this wait till next year, or what are we feeling? Is the money actually in the budget for the study?
Are you also?
I have no
Thank
idea.
you. We are all done.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
we got to
So-
the veggie study at the end yesterday, and right now, the Barry TIF has 2 TIFs. It has changes to the TIF rules. It has a veggie study, and it has a study for how we can, it's not called mini TIFs, but how
Project-based
we can
tips.
help towns with the cost of infrastructure improvements. As of 5 o'clock, I've got miscellaneous tax, and we are going to put on that the things we really want, which are the 2 tariffs, the veggie sunset.
The VEPSI extension, is that the same thing?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, the
the
VEPSI
extension. There are 3 TIF changes that came out of the St. Albans
Right.
issue, the audit with the auditor, which just needed some clarification in the law. Things like you can use the proceeds of the bond to pay the debt service on the bond for up to 2 years until you get something built and you've got revenue coming in. We're gonna put those 3 on. Let's see,
So-
but there's other things where rather than, I don't know, it's active TIFs, and we're limiting that to 14. That's defined as until you finish paying off your bond. Well, if you do your last revenue, you let your last bond right, at the last time you can, you have closed out and you are paying your full share to the ed fund, which as far as I can see is the only thing we care about. And So that one we're not putting through because I just have a sneaky suspicion it's a way to limit. Right now, we have 11 active and we limited to 14. We know we've got at least 2 towns that are interested. But if it's, could be you are active for 35 years.
Yeah, that limits us pretty fully.
It does. So
We don't
that's
wanna do
not
that.
going on till we can figure that out.
So the veggie
But
study
the
that
veggie study,
you. and
we were
Keisha-
leaving that on 94. My intention is I'm leaving everything on 94 that we like. We will probably take out the stuff we haven't had time to work on in the TIFs. The veggie study will stay on there. We will put the stuff we really like along with a few other things like changes in the workers' comp in case that bill doesn't go through, because that now includes the childcare bill.
Right,
We're gonna,
so we're
this is what
protecting,
Damien and
we're
I found
protecting
out 10
workers'
minutes
comp.
before we walked in
Okay.
here. That the stuff that has to go in workers' comp
yeah,
is going on miscellaneous tax. So I'm gonna send a bunch of stuff out,
all of 217.
not
It's
all.
not
of
all, but can we take a couple minutes and talk about that?
them. Yeah,
Okay, Keisha, did you, I thought I heard you saying something earlier before Ann started. Did you
Yeah.
have the veggie
Well,
study? So you're.
First of all, Mira says hi. So
Well,
there's Mira.
Right, it's so alert.
Yes, she has more waking time, which is hard to see.
Yeah.
it is out.
so we celebrated you earlier because we think that this was your original due date.
Oh, yesterday.
That was yesterday.
May 12th, actually.
Oh, May 12th.
Friday.
Okay.
That could have
That's
been
a
bad.
good day to celebrate.
And that's the day we're hoping to see either one or both of you here.
Exactly. We could have a little celebration of her original birthday. So just
on the veggie study, I understand, I understand that there are sort of differences of language in the study, and that you and Ann thought we should have that conversation.
Yeah, there are several things in there, like the economist, the administration's economist, Jeff Carr, has to be present at every executive session. We don't know what that means. We don't know if anyone's asked Jeff Carr if he wants to be. We know he doesn't work for free.
Right.
So
So-
there's things that,
That's weird.
Do we want
yeah.
to wait on the veggie study
in
until we
the
actually
very big
discuss it?
picture, there is $250,000 for the study, but that could be used for something else if
Right.
we don't pass it. And an economic development doesn't have representation on the study. So it's essentially, if we were to pass it, it would need work. And the question is, do we have time to do work and add it back by 5 p.m. and do we have the appetite to do that? And I just don't think so, but.
I can put economic development on the study.
Right. But they wanted to come in because I don't know if that's their only concern. So they might be standing by if we have time, but I just didn't know if we had the time.
I think given the time frame, it might make some sense for us to actually take it in and discuss it and figure out what we want in the study. Who should be at the table on the study? To have all legislators. I understand it's all legislators on the study, which seems completely inappropriate given the lack of expertise that, in this particular area.
That's like a committee outside, it just, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It's not,
I mean, it strikes me that we need other people with expertise in this area. I mean, yes, great to have legislators on it.
We have lots of opinions
We
with
have-
limited expertise.
Exactly. We have lots of opinions, but limited expertise. That's well said. And an interest, but I don't think the committee should be entirely comprised of just
No,
legislators.
I don't.
So I
My
think,
intent is I need to
Let's
get
hold on to it then.
miscellaneous tax out.
Right.
With the absolute have to have. I intend to send 94 back with anything we don't hate on it. And the veggie study would be on there.
so Keisha, is it your suggestion that we keep the veggie study for the time being, work on it. It'll only be a 6-month delay. It's not like it's gonna be forever. And, and work on it, and work on it more fully, or you want to let it go ahead? What's your thought right now?
I think without any other testimony or changes, we shouldn't advance it. So we need to have the time to really make sure this.
It's one of our important tools in our economic development bucket, and I think we want to get this one right. It's a lot of money to
no time on this topic because they just got us the bill. I mean, it's been so long over there. It's like a 2-year bill at the.
So
just tell me what you want me to put in and what you want me to take out.
I take the study out unless we did some work on it today by 5 p.m.
And we don't have time.
Right.
Because this committee gets another 31 minutes today. Yeah. And given the conference committees and the other work that all of us are committed to, sadly, with 3 days left in the session, I think this one has run out of time, and I would rather do a better job on it.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Let's pull the study. And you have another question on, Wendy has a question on 217.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it's section 3 in the original bill and it's section 32 in the new bill, but it's the provision that the workers' ability to contest a decision extra 14 days.
They said 15-day extension of the workers' compensate prior. Yes, that's going in.
Yeah, that was an important addition.
That's an important. That's going in. The
rate's
default
going in.
If we don't set the rate for this year, the default if we some year don't set the rate, remember defaults to the present year, just in case at this time of year we miss it.
I know. And I have mixed feelings about that, but
it really isn't leverage. I mean, it may vary by 0.1% every 5 years. Basically, you just.
Well, we had an issue with, COVID gave it a big challenge.
Yes.
So,
it almost got missed.
Yeah,
and then they're in limbo. They don't have any.
So the key is to make sure that we don't miss it. On the other hand, I understand Wendy's concern.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't limit our ability to, we are still responsible for setting it. Just if somehow, if something goes wrong and we don't set it, then they aren't left with no money. It continues, because once we're out of here, unless you call a special session, they're up the creek.
All right, we do want them to function.
Yeah.
Right. So I think just to finish on, Keisha, just a thought. I don't know how we get the study. So can we refer what's left in the bill once you've sent it and once you've dealt with it? Can we refer? We can just pick up those pieces, I guess. I guess we don't need to. We can do it as a committee bill.
You can do the study. Okay. I mean, if you can get something together, I can stick it on 94. I'm waiting till the last minute, but I think it might be today to get miscellaneous tax out.
I think we're trying to add the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, the intention is to get it out today. And then I'll send 94 back with the same stuff in it, so that a lot of things have 2 vehicles.
Good, and we'll commit to looking at what all the stakeholders need and want in a veggie study, which I think, given the number of voices I've heard in the last 12 hours on it, I think it makes sense for us to take some more time with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just have a feeling we're going to be looking at this issue out of session and understanding why the House feels so strongly, but we just got no time with this topic because they just got it to us. So I can't imagine that they think we can move this in a week over the objections of those most impacted, frankly.
Yeah, and unlike other studies, this. What?
No,
Yeah,
it's just a very different dynamic.
Well, it's a challenge because our crossover was so late this year. It's nobody's
And it's, I mean,
fault.
it's
just-
$2.5 million of money and the study's $250,000. You know, it's, I think they've spent a disproportionate amount of time on such a small amount of money, frankly. That's how I feel if I were to talk to them.
Because to go back to Senator Cummings' statement earlier, opinions often, anyway, I'll let that one go.
But not a lot.
Opinions
of
often
expertise.
drive some of the time we spend on things.
Right.
It's a, so I think we Randy should be here any second. Why don't we begin to take a vote on, I think we're settled on the veggie piece.
Okay, you want the study out. So
I think at the
won't
moment-
send that back on 94.
I think at the moment, Senate Economic
Okay.
Development is very interested in doing a more thorough job on the
Okay.
veggie study because it matters to get that one right.
That may get them to move,
And
but
so
I
452.
We'll see.
don't talk a lot.
And meanwhile, we'll, in case it becomes an issue, we will clarify what some of the parties are interested in making sure in it. But I think it's fair for us to ask for more time on that. So, Madam Clerk,
Yes, which would you like to do?
let's do the apprenticeship first, and then we can add Randy, and let's do concurrence.
Okay,
I would entertain a motion for us to pass H 452 on the updating of the apprenticeship statutes out favorably. Oh, that's, somebody else has to make that motion.
I'm so moved.
thank you. Okay,
I'm the only other somebody else here.
I will call the vote.
Hi, come on in.
Senator Brock,
He'll be here, so keep it open.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Cummings,
Yes.
Senator Harrison is a yes. Senator Ron Hinsdale,
Yes.
great. And do we
Yep.
have a reporter?
Yep, I'm reporting it. I've got it. Got it set. It's going to be short and sweet. And
Okay.
appreciative, because it was great to get this year with all
Yeah.
the policy that we have.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and
So-
then, so I would entertain a motion on concurrence with S 103.
Concurrent.
S1, what is S103?
That was
Can I move
it, our discrimination bill that we just talked about with Damien.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, Senator Brock, we'll come back to. Senator Clarkson,
Yes.
Senator Cummings,
Yes.
Senator Harrison is a yes. Senator Ron Hinsdale.
Yes. And Ellen didn't get to see Mira yet. So there's Mira.
And Randy
And
didn't.
there's Randy.
Oh, and there's
here's
Randy.
Randy gets to see her.
No, she's gone back to sleep. She's awake if you
What a
want.
cutie
All
pie.
right.
We put her to sleep with all of our guys.
So, Paul, Randy, we're just doing, we waited until 9:30 and Keisha's arrival to have our votes on, we heard again on 103. Randy checked with the administration and they're fine with everything. They have the concerns about pervasive language, but they had those concerns. So, and so we're just did two votes
So we-
that we'd love to have you
We
weigh in
held it
on.
for you.
All right, and they are.
103,
Yes.
Concurrence with 103.
concurrence, so you're a yes. Thank you. So on that bill, we voted 5-0-0.
Right, and then
And then on 452, which is the apprenticeship
Yes.
bill,
Mhm.
and you're a yes also, wonderful. So on that bill, we are also 5-0-0.
right, and I'll take up whatever I need to take up for 452. And Wendy, do you want to do the concurrence on 103 because you reported it?
It looks familiar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to, but if
Yes.
you want to, I defer to the person who
Sure.
reported it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. I got 102, which seems to have become a biennium bill. For those of you who are tracking 102. Thank you. Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Take this off. And okay, great. So now we've been very productive. And Randy, you knew about this, so we didn't feel too awful talking about it while you were not here, which is we just talked about the veggie study, and given the import to our economic development world, we've decided to keep the study and not pass it and deal with it next year.
And it's
We
in
would like to
94
do the study, but it
in
needs
finance.
more work, we think.
All right, I'm fine.
Is that okay with you? Ooh, thank you.
We will just take it out. I was gonna leave it on 94 and put the TIF study on miscellaneous tax, and we'll just take that.
So now,
And we also have been asked to put things from workers' comp.
so,
Well, it isn't gonna do anything to slow things down in the short term,
No,
all right, so I'm fine with it.
no,
we're gonna protect workers' comp again by putting it in yet another bill in miscellaneous tax. So,
I see, I shouldn't have
Another
said it was
$10
a
to the
nice,
child
simple,
care.
short bill.
no, you
Yeah.
shouldn't, you
In
shouldn't,
case workers' comp, which now has childcare, doesn't make it,
just in case.
we're gonna put,
So, for-
let's see,
Okay.
the things we needed to do on
Yeah.
workers' comp, the 15 days, the audit, that will set the rate, and then the default, if we forget to set the rate some year, that they continue to operate.
okay, in the 21 minutes we have left, and not really, because we have to be up on the floor, we are going to pivot to S100, which had a resoundingly strong vote last night in the House.
Yeah.
I think 135 to 11 or something like that. So it is now done and is back to us. We will have possession of it when, Scott? Tomorrow, today?
It will be on notice tomorrow.
So we can take it off which is what I'm doing today. I'm making a motion to take something off the notice calendar for the apprenticeships, Randy. I'm having to, and I don't know if we have to suspend the rules to do that, or if we
I think
can.
you do, we're okay with that.
Well, I think you and I talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're okay.
we'll be okay.
So, we could do the same with S100 tomorrow if people were comfortable with that. So, why don't you update us on do we have a final side by side?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Wow, that was
For S100.
good. Thank
And
you.
we have that, I assume, somewhere.
It's in the pile here.
I
Is
have
it
one
in the-
dated for May, and there's one
The
later
final,
than that,
here is
sure.
the final S100
Right there. okay.
side by
Ellen
side.
Tchaikovsky, Office of Legislative Counsel. Yes, the final side-by-side is dated May 10th, which is today.
Okay.
Just hard to
Yes,
keep track.
woo-hoo.
So, and luckily, or take away that adverb, despite having many proposed floor amendments, only one floor amendment passed yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes, and so my update is short. There were two changes in the floor amendment, and the floor amendment came from most of the members of the Environment and Energy Committee, and they were based on two of the proposed floor amendments from other sponsors from other committees. So there are two amendments. The first is in section 15, which is the regional planning report. And so Representative Sheena had requested some language that you will see about broadening participation. And so if you look at, it's in section 15, which is at the bottom of page 16, and I bolded it. This amendment does two small things to the regional planning report. So it asks SAPTA to report back on statutory recommendations to better integrate and implement plans. And so this new sentence has been added. In the process of creating the regional planning, I'm on the bottom of page 16.
Okay, so now bottom of page 16, okay.
This is in section 15, but it's at the bottom of page 16, and it's bolded.
Yeah.
In the process of creating the regional planning report, VAPTA shall consider possible new methods of public engagement that promote equity and expand opportunities for meaningful participation by impacted communities in the decisions affecting their physical and social environment. So there was some testimony that VAPTA was interested and has been interested in new methods of public engagement, and so they were comfortable adding this language. Good.
Okay, good.
And then another small change right at the top of page 17, also related to this. So the report shall accomplish aligning policies and implementation between municipalities, regional planning commissions, and state entities to better address climate change, climate resiliency, natural resources, housing, transportation, economic development, other social determinants of health, and other place-based issues. So looking at other social determinants of health,
Got it.
I think it's wonderful.
Great. That is wide open, quite frankly.
That will help.
That is-
Public transit.
That is, yeah. Transportation's already in there.
I know.
Like, look who's there. We have something for you because we're gonna bring this up pending notice on the calendar. Oh, this is, you are just really,
Service.
I know, service with a
If you
smile.
don't know, this room is, they're all bugged. They know exactly
Well,
what we do.
Well, we are
It's
we're
not
live
a
on,
secret.
live on the internet
Yeah.
right
I
now.
go up, oh yes, that's the vote you're reporting.
It's kind of like a weird thing. I
I
usually
know.
wait a little bit longer to
So-
not make it look quite so.
So,
Creepy.
so before you leave, we have a question for you.
I've
So-
known Vince had these rooms bugged
So
for
the-
years.
The
We
question,
live on YouTube.
Yeah, we are.
it's okay, we can get your advice and counsel.
So they're watching you upstairs.
And if you're lucky, you'll see little Mira right up there in a second if
Aw,
Keisha comes back on. I guess my question to you is, we have, we don't have 103 yet, S 103. We have two bills that we want, that we maybe we have one that we'd like to concur with,
Okay.
that is, got passed, is 103, oh.
Is it on the
Damien
calendar?
left.
There's too many numbers for me.
I
Okay.
I just tell me what it's
We-
about.
Find it.
I know, but Bloomer hates it when we vote on things that we don't have possession of.
So you won't get possession of the House proposal amendment?
Yeah.
Those are just gonna sit on your calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, so we always are then having to make a motion to take it off the calendar to vote to concur, is that right?
So once it's up on action, you
Right.
can concur. If it's on notice, you can suspend rules
Okay,
to take up for
So-
action to concur.
so when S 100 comes, the big housing bill, which got passed last night.
That'll be messaged after the House floor today, I believe, unless they have a rule.
So we won't need to make this motion to take it to concur until tomorrow. Is that correct?
Tomorrow,
Or we could do pending
it will
notice?
likely
Yeah,
be, it will either be
rules
pending
suspension.
notice or on the notice calendar, depending on timing of calendars and messages this evening.
Okay, so would you be kind enough to check with S 103 because we're wanting to concur on 103? And I think
So I don't think, S 103 hasn't been voted on by the House yet.
yeah, so that will
So
be,
that's not even.
so that's,
103 is on the House calendar.
yeah, it's on the House calendar for action today. And I think they're gonna suspend rules and put it, fast track it.
Okay.
So we'll deal with that tomorrow.
We might not want to.
And we'll deal with S 100
Yeah.
tomorrow because it should be on, hopefully it'll be on. a
I did
notice
put the
calendar.
draft number.
Or it'll be pending notice, so we can
Pending
act on it
changes.
tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, I just am trying to, because I think we can vote pending notice. We can vote, can't we, in anticipation of things?
Yeah, so those both will not be referred back to your committee. They already came to your committee ones.
Right.
The only tricky things with proposals of amendment is if you want to make a further proposal of amendment,
Right, we
it
don't.
should be individual names
Right.
and not the committee. because you-
Clear on that.
Yeah.
But I think what we want to do is get a sense so that when they do appear, given that we have 3 days left, we want to be able to just concur and or have, but on both of these, I think they'll be concurred. Okay,
That's fine.
great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
And I'll be
We're
right back.
so happy. They're all gonna get rid of this in 2 days.
No, they're not rid of us. They get us in summer study committees. Okay.
Oh, no.
So-
I'd walk down the streets of Montpelier. Staff is out, they're all smiling.
Okay, Ellen, anything further?
Yes, there's the last change is on the very last page. There's a change in the effective date.
Oh,
So,
wow, these are complicated effective dates.
We did a good job on this, if that's all they're doing.
So the change in the effective date is that now section 3, which is the language related to homeless shelters, and municipalities having only limited review of homeless shelters, that is now going to take effect on September 1, 2023. Previously, the effective date was December 1, 2024. And so there actually were multiple proposed amendments on the House floor about homeless shelters and the
Not
need.
on their telephone program?
No.
Wow.
Well, I mean, this bill doesn't
Yeah.
directly speak to the.
Right, but I-
program. So
Right.
this language about helping homeless shelters in the municipal zoning process is being moved up to September 1, 2023.
Okay, great. That's actually terrific.
Yeah.
That's good. So when you say that's all they did actually quite a bit. These are just the new ones as of yesterday.
Yes. Oh, and just as an aside, I did add Maria's language to the side-by-side in case you wanted it here. I haven't added Damien's or David's because, that's not related to anything.
So we don't have a final side-by-side with S on this. This is not a final one.
Well, this is my final one.
This is, okay. So,
And your section calls the bill.
so for tomorrow, which is tomorrow morning, when we're gonna wanna probably vote on this, on what to do, whether to concur or not, you now have this to look at and see how you feel about it. I'm hoping we will concur.
I have asked my colleagues to update the
Okay.
chart,
Would you,
the summary charts, and so that should be
yes, we
ready
need an update of the
shortly.
summary chart and we need an update of the side-by-side.
With everyone else. Well, so the thing about the side-by-side with David sections is awkward, right? Because you sent almost no David sections to the House.
That's right. And
Well,
it's,
even though we passed them from this
What are
committee,
David's sections, just so?
The money,
all the money pieces,
money
all the
part,
programs,
okay.
all the
okay,
programmatic,
who's got the PUC section.
that's here.
I did put it in this side-by-side,
Yeah.
even though Maria drafted it.
So,
And Marie, that's right, and that's the one that finance is taking some more testimony on this afternoon. They're just,
so
want to
what's,
make sure we aren't disadvantaging renters. And
landlords?
they need to hear how many notices they get before you have to send a individual out there.
They don't
potentially
want to
risking
send,
it.
yeah.
They don't want to send. My committee just needs some reassurance that there are enough notices that any reasonable person could say they knew.
Well, I think the real question is assurance that the person got the notice.
Right,
You can send 1,000 letters to the wrong address
right.
and the person won't get it. Now, the way the statute reads right now is before the cutoff or at the time of the cutoff, someone from the utility will hand deliver a notice to the person. They want to eliminate that, obviously,
Right.
because of the danger to the employee. I understand that. But the concern is, what if you're sending it to a dead letter, to a wrong address, or the person gets his mail at a post office, you send it to the street address, he never gets his mail there, and he doesn't know about it, and then the heat gets cut off.
Yeah, so I think we just need to hear what the procedures are. We've got Vermont Electric Power, VEPSA, and,
Okay, and
Yeah,
what
can-
section, yeah, and what sections are those?
That's
The,
section 25A. So
25A,
It's
right.
on the last.
It's got added in.
I thought it said that they had to actually do the shut off itself in person.
they could do it remotely, the
No,
shut
this,
off.
this,
That's right.
But that's different than like a
That's
door
what we
hanger.
heard
I
in
agree with you
here.
that a door hanger would be really helpful.
Well, again,
But
people
that's
have the
different than
concern
shutting
of
it
just the
off.
people who drive in the driveway and get shot, which you read
Oh,
a lot
no,
about.
no,
Those
I
utility
agree.
employees don't want to go, particularly at a time of shutting off a person's utility, because that's a potential high volatility situation.
Oh, I understand, but I thought you were saying that there should be some sort of,
Well, some sort of notice would be something like certified mail return receipt on, certified mail on the last attempt to reach out to the person. That would be one way to do it.
Mm.
And that way you have some assurance they got it, or a phone call to a number that actually gets answered would be another way to do it.
right,
So,
or even
but
a
I don't
text.
know if they have anything other
that's
than
what we're gonna,
continually sending letters to the wrong address.
Right,
And
okay.
that
No,
doesn't
that
give you
would be
assurance that the customer actually
So-
got it.
except the customer, this is a tenant who is living at the address
Yeah.
that has,
We think.
we
The
think.
water that is about
But
to be
why
shut
would you
off.
be paying rent and not living there?
Well, they're not paying rent, obviously, because that's why they're being thrown out.
Or they're
No,
not
no,
paying their
this
bill.
is
They're
like
being
it's
thrown out, but
not-
they're probably not paying rent if they're not paying the electricity in that situation.
Why the
I don't
landlord
know.
can
It's not
charge. No, you make choices, you
Yeah.
need your thing, and you'll push the electricity as far as
Right,
you
they're in the
can.
they're in the hospital,
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
nobody knows they're in the hospital.
I wish you well in this conversation this afternoon. The challenge that we
thank you.
is what we
I love the end of the session.
Right, okay. I would just point out that this isn't even on our notice calendar yet.
No.
So we need to act thoughtfully, but we need to act swiftly to be able to ensure that we pass this bill this session, given it's one of our top priorities. So I would encourage you to have that conversation, but I would, any change is going to be a bit of a challenge for us.
Okay,
I
can I
would say.
just understand the fees? Because I don't know if this committee talked about the change in fees and Act 250 fees.
Sure. That's
Because-
section
Yeah.
18A,
Yeah, so the,
What section is it?
18A, I believe.
so it's page
18A.
23.
18A starts on.
And I don't know
page
what-
23.
I guess the changes are just the underlines and the strikeouts. Is that right? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so there's, it's not changing the Act 250 fees at all.
Oh, except this maximum, is it taking away the maximum?
No, if you look farther down that paragraph,
Uh-huh.
it's moving the maximum.
Okay,
So the maximum is not changing, however, it's clarifying,
Sorry.
there has been recent litigation, actually a few cases over if the statute is clear enough. And so this is adding clarifying language. So this is not changing the NRB's existing practice, it's just clarifying it. And so the maximum amount of permit fee is still $165,000, but this is clarifying that is per application and not per project. Because, for example, large master plan permits for like the skis resort or a large development may have 10 or 12 applications over time. And so there has been recent litigation about whether subsequent years later applications need to pay additional fees.
$100,000. That's what it should be.
So
So this says what?
the maximum is $165,000. That is not changing. However, there has been disagreement on if there's a time period in which that cap can be reached, seeing as how some of these permits have existed for more than 20, 30,
Years.
50 years.
They haven't been updated? The fees?
So the fees haven't been updated
Yeah.
in more than 8 years. And they're not being updated in this. This is adding clarifying language
Right.
about you have to pay fees every time you apply for Act 250, not just the first time.
Yes, right. The fees,
just because you did it 10 years ago doesn't mean you get it for free.
But what about 3 years ago?
Same, yeah.
okay.
You have to
The buyback
pay
is-
every time. you
Well,
make
so
an
we can have
application.
another
If I
conversation
have a
about this.
master plan,
Mhm.
Vermont College,
Mhm.
and I apply to do something to that, I have to pay a fee based on the cost of the construction. Now, we've already been told it's gonna cost $50
Oh, there we
million to rehab the dorms. So I'm gonna come in there at a pretty hefty fee. And then 3 years from now, under the same master plan, which says I can do thus and so, I'm gonna have to go back and pay another up to $150,000.
If you have a subsequent separate application for a change that is
So-
that large, yes.
So they pay each for each application.
Each application,
That's what this clarifies.
yes.
And we are being called to the floor, so I need to encourage us. Sadly, we will discuss this again tomorrow morning.
Thank you. That's
And
all.
would you be kind enough, Ellen, to ask your colleagues, or Scott will ask our colleagues to please. Keisha?
Mhm.
Were you wanting to say something?
No, I'm sorry if I made a noise.
So, Scott, would you be kind enough to ask David, Damien, and to help up, because Maria's changes are here, Ellen's changes are here. We now need Damien and David's updates and an updated side-by-side and an updated summary, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
the answer might be no, but we can talk about that.
You mean if they're willing to do it?
Yeah, I mean, Damien is like running.
Yeah, he's
running
right
that.
out straight.
I know, he's crazy.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
He may not be.
CC me, maybe I
Maybe you
can,
can help.
maybe we can figure it out ourselves.
Okay, so
Maybe I can do it.
the other, so we're gonna do S100 tomorrow morning. And I just want to let everybody know that we have guests of Keisha's coming in to sort of anchor themselves here between 12 and 2.
Oh, yes.
Some
Okay.
friends of Keisha's. And Keisha, would you, I have this sheet here, and their names are, remind us.
Two meetings at once.
The main contact is Lata Mangipudi. She's actually a New Hampshire legislator.
And her son, right?
Well, her son's not involved.
Okay, if
Oh,
we're
okay.
here too at that time, is that all right?
Lata is here between 12 and 2.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to let everybody know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll
We're
I'll
all
forward